It's Mario Brothers for the Atari 7800 Pro system. You're probably wondering if this is some kind of weird bootleg or homebrew or whatever. I mean, Mario on a system not made by Nintendo? What blasphemy is this? But no, once upon a time, Atari got the rights to port Mario Brothers to their Atari consoles, so Mario Brothers graced 2600 and 5200 systems back in the day. 7800 version would have followed if things went according to plan, but they didn't. And so the 7800 and all its games sat in the back burner and alone and forgotten about until Atari pulled it out of mothballs years later because all of a sudden video games stopped sucking and hell, we got a bunch of shit to sell. Sell it. So I don't know if this was made before or after the crash. I have to assume after because Luigi's wearing white and green, which is more in line with his outfit from Super Mario Bros. Or maybe they went back and changed it. I don't know. All I know is that in 1987, Mario Bros. Graced the Atari 7800 Pro system, which was a little over a year after Nintendo's flagship entertainment system got a conversion of Mario Bros. To call their own. Of course, the NES had other Mario Bros. Video games that the 7800 didn't have, and those games were decidedly super, but that's besides the point, and totally irrelevant to this conversation. Anyway, a bit of a refresher for those unfamiliar with the original Mario Bros. There are critters coming out of the pipes, and you have to clear them out by punching the ground underneath the critter to knock them off balance, which in turn allows you to kick them off the board. Do this before they recover and become faster. When the last critter remains, he'll go into a mad panic, which makes him even harder to catch, and when a critter is KO'd, a coin will emerge from the pipe, adding a few points to your score if collected. Once all the critters are cleared from the board, you will move on to the next round. Every so often you'll play a bonus round where you'll need to collect all the coins within the time limit to earn a bit of a bonus. There are 3 types of critters for you to contend with. Shell creepers, the slowest and weakest of the bunch. Killer crabs, tough little bastards that require 2 punches to be incapacitated. And fighter flies, who will hop along the way and thus require proper timing to knock them upside their head. In addition to these, there are other hazards, fireballs that will occasionally appear, icicles that will drop in and melt into a platform and cover it in ice, thus making said platform very slippery, and another type of icicle that will fall from the sky and drop down when fully formed. If you touch a moving critter or hazard, you lose a life, but can gain more by scoring enough points. Lose all your lives and it's game over, pretty standard stuff. For what it's worth, the Atari 7800 version of Mario Bros. Is a perfectly capable conversion of the game, and certainly the best of the various Atari console releases. The game gives you 4 skill settings as well as 2-player competitive player, your only options here, but the gameplay in general stays true to the arcade original without anything in the way of new elements tossed in for the hell of it, though the jumping feels slightly less floaty and awkward in this conversion. Still, the game's simple to understand, fun for a lark, and control in general is pretty solid. The graphics look pretty decent here. Basically a rougher take on the style of presentation used in the NES port of the game. You've got the title screen, you've got the different platform types for different rounds. Mario and Luigi have outfits more in line with that one super game everyone's familiar with. Sound, on the other hand, is not fantastic. The musical jingles in particular, basically the same ones in Mario Bros. Arcade and such, sound grating at worst and bad at best. Sound effects are only slightly more tolerable, but not by much. Overall, Mario Bros. On the Atari 7800 is a perfectly respectable conversion of the arcade game it's based on, though not quite as polished of a port as the NES version, also available around that same time. On the surface, it plays well enough, looks the part, sounds the part, and does a fine enough job of replicating the arcade game, or rather the NES port of the arcade game similar to the 2 Donkey Kong games that came out around that same time as well. But the somewhat rough jumping mechanics pegs this down a notch or 2, and Mario Bros. Didn't exactly have jumping down to an art form in its original format. Still, it's a fun little game with a good competitive 2-player mode, and while not the best version of Mario Bros., this is an otherwise fine addition to the Atari 7800 library that's worth checking out.